This is the Christmas edition of The Beam, and we are speaking about the nation, Detty December, survival, security, and the way forward for this nation. And I've been with Mr. Mustafa, who's been giving us some very interesting takes on the issues. Let's go to some other question when it comes to, the Nigerian youth and being somewhat apathetic, right? Others says they are strategically disengaged. Which is more dangerous to a democracy right now?
I think it's a clever term to say you're strategically disengaged. And I think that's perhaps the most dangerous thing you can do. Because if you disengage yourself from happenings in your nation, well, you almost have that I don't care attitude. So long as I and those in my immediate sphere of contact are okay, everything is fine. And that's not what you want from the youth population of this country. The reason is because more than 60% of this country's population is a young population. It means that those who are disenfranchised, whether intentionally or unintentionally, and more than half of the population do not care where this nation is headed. That's a sitting time bomb. And that's something that we must find urgent ways to quell. You must, by intention, get your most productive arm involved in nation building.
But they can say that you are talking about being intentional because you are not hungry. Those are the kind of claims that will come up. Because if I am hungry, I'm thinking to survive today. So what then what can that person really, think about from that standpoint?
Okay, so if you're hungry today, I can understand the fact that the saying says a hungry man is an angry man. I get that. But again, being disengaged from happenings does not resolve that situation for you. If you're disengaged today and you're hungry today, the high chances are that tomorrow you will still be in the same situation. So it is madness, it is insanity to keep doing the same thing and be expecting different results. My message to whoever is thinking in that line is for you to sit down, ask yourself, what can I do to change this situation? And one of the things you can do is to be interested in how wherever the direction that this country is headed in. Because it's funny how the policies of government, whether you agree with that government or not, have a direct and relative impact on your life. So you must be interested.
I like the way you try to put me into some of those questions. You bring up some questions. When you talk policy, the government talks policy. The street talks hunger, survival. Who is winning the narrative today in this nation?
Definitely the street is winning. You just need to peruse social media to understand that government needs to change its mode of communication of its policies. The policies are too cumbersome for the person who needs those policies to understand what the policies are talking about. We're too technical in our communication. We're too elaborate in it. You need to find ways and means to break this down. Because whatever you say, there's a question people ask me on social media all the time. How does this change the price of Gari in the market? Because for that person, whatever policy does not trickle down to lower food inflation does not matter to him. You look at the NBA statistics for November 2025, which says Nigeria's headline inflation is down to 14.45%. And people will still question the fact that those statistics do not match the reality in the market or on the streets. So again, it is clear, unless you want to be obtuse, that's when you will tell yourself that government is winning the war of narration. It's clearly losing that war of narration. And it's not a condemnation on the government, it's a wake-up call for the government.
There has to be better.
To change its way of communicating its policy and find better ways to ensure that the ordinary man on the street gets the exact message from government.
Yeah, there you go again, social media. It's turned almost every Nigerian into a commentator, a critic, but what more needs to be done? What more are we very not aware of? How do we go from there? How do we make sure that it's a whole story? It's a proper package. How do we make sure that it takes the nation from where we are, not just a nation of commentators and angry people, to a nation that is progressing? How do we do that?
The metamorphosis is tough, but it can be done. Because I will read Elon Musk, and Elon Musk will say, you are the media. You are the reporter. It means with the mobile phone in your hands, every citizen is now suddenly a journalist. An event happens here. While we're sitting in this studio, we come out and there's citizen reporting it, telling us what has happened. So again, it's a delicate balance. Government has a role to play in ensuring that there are strict laws guiding this thing. But you're also very careful not to be seen as taking the voice away from the people. So it's a very delicate balance. When it comes to nation building, social media can do a lot when it comes to nation building. But it is also it can also be a very detrimental tool in the hands of the wrongest people. I look at Nigeria and how unprepared we are for social media reporting. Because what I'm saying right now, I just said we are very unprepared for social media reporting. Somebody cuts that clip, the 8 seconds where I've said that, and says, oh, Ahmed Mustafa said this, he does not believe in it. But that's not what I've said here. That's the danger and the beauty of social media. Again, it's a very delicate balance, but I honestly believe that with the right policies and the right laws in place, we've seen countries do it, and Nigeria can borrow and domesticate those policies and regulations to ensure that citizens are somewhat responsible in their reporting on social media. If we get that right, we could move this country forward in leaps, because what that helps us do is to hold government to account. And once there is accountability in government, it bridges the trust gap between the governed and the government, which I think is a fundamental problem that we have as a nation. There is such a huge distrust that even as somebody who works in government, if you're communicating with people, they already have a bias that, oh, what are you going to say anyways? You're going to speak in favor of the government anyways. Oh, you're doing this because that's what you're paid to do. But again, you're trying to communicate to them. I'll give you a real-life example. When Nelfon came on board, I took the pains to go to certain universities across the country to inform the students on how to apply for the student loans. I will tell you that while I was busy talking to the students, there are people who were walking out of that hall feeling that, oh, this is just noise. At the end of the day, a year later, more than half of them who did not listen to me did not apply for that loan. And those who listened applied. Some of those who applied did not even follow through with the process. They just said, oh, they said we should apply. Because I said, okay, bring out your phones, go on Nelfon, do this. And they did that. But they didn't follow through with it. At the end of the day, the monies for these loans is stuck with Nelfon. And the students who need them are, what's the word you used? Strategically disengaged from the process. So it's a huge problem.
Let's talk again about social media. Earlier this year, there was this young NYC girl who came out to speak on the president, and it was a lot of backlash, fighting between, the NYC and the girl and all that. Where do we draw the line when it comes to, communicating these things, like we said, because if we want to hold the government accountable, where do we draw the lines? How do we say this is now holding accountable and not going beyond what holding accountable is?
I think that if, as a social media user, if you're about to post something, inside of yourself from what perspective you're doing that. Are you doing that to engineer social change? Are you doing that to get a reaction out of the government? Or are you doing that to make your country look bad? I've seen certain comments and certain criticisms of government that I know that these criticisms are born from a place of good. These who are genuinely concerned about the plight of the nation, and they are trying to move the hand of government to get things done and get it done quick. It's not just about doing it, it's about the speed in which you do it. Somebody said to me that the responsibility of government is to do the most it can for the most people in the shortest possible time. So if you have that at the back of your mind, you can tell by yourself. Nobody needs to monitor you to tell you if what you're doing is right or wrong. But on a general basis, to answer your question, I think patriotism becomes the benchmark to measure where you draw that line. If at the point where you're putting out any statement to criticize government, you feel in your mind that you're not being patriotic in your ideals, then you stop yourself. Ask yourself the question, would this do more harm to my country or will it do more good to my country? If the answer to that is yes, then absolutely, I am all for holding government to account at any level. And I would say this, and I think Nigerians focus a little too much on government at the top. When the closest government to us is at the grassroots, the local government and the governors, they get away with right about anything. There are some governors that have not heard in the news for weeks and months since they've been elected. I saw a governor, I'm not going to mention it, I saw a governor on a live TV program when he was presenting the budget. And I jokingly told my friend, this is the first time that I'll be coming across this governor in the news, you know. But everybody knows who the president is, you know. But some people don't even know who their House of Rep members is, or who that's even far away, who their local government chairman is, or who the councillor of their ward. They don't even know where their ward, you know, region is. So these are the things that we need to do.
Let's wrap up with this question. I mean, this is really, really insightful. I really hope that a lot of people are watching and are going to learn a lot from what we are saying, because so much has to be done. 2027 is around the corner. 2026 we're going in, so it's something we need to really, really talk about. Finally, before I let you go, insecurity thrives where, you know, trust has collapsed, where it's eroded, right? And so, do you think Nigerians still believe in the idea of a shared future? And if they don't, what is one thing you can say to make them understand that we're not done yet?
Well, it depends on who you're speaking to. If you have a country where like I said, the largest population of this country is young. The largest demographic of Nigerian population is young population. And if you talk to young Nigerians, the biggest aspiration they have is to leave this country. If we're being fair to us, that tells you something. It's a pointer to the fact that they no longer believe in the shared future that this country has. Does this country have a future? I absolutely believe so. I am a vehement believer in the future of Nigeria. I'm unapologetic about my belief in the Nigerian system. But how many people share my optimism and believe in this country? I am in the minority as it stands. And that in itself is a major problem. How do we go about changing this? Honestly, if I had the answers, I would be sitting in Aso Rock right now.
All right.